And this is Saving Humanity yet again to bring another news update to everybody. You know, I didn't see much talk about this back in 2011 about the whole smart meters and stuff like that. Actually, I didn't see any. And come to find out, these smart meters output a lot of radiation. A lot. So let's get right to it. Share my screen here. Ooh, I got a lot to cut. I got a lot of information on this, and yeah. Um, 1 second. Fix it over here. Share my screen. So just so everyone knows, I don't know why that is showing up in Chinese. I did not post it in Chinese. It's like Twitter is trying to. It looks like Twitter is trying to. like, what is it? Block me from posting when I'm posting. It's interesting. So I'm going to do this. Smart meters exposed. Tweet. Okay, everybody sees that, right? It says smart meters exposed right here on Saving Humanity 7 at Twitter. But I'm gonna get to here. And here I'm going to. This is something RT did. So play on something that's louder so everybody could hear it. Give me a second here. Oh, privacy with Smart meters. Here we go.
Are making them sick. I couldn't understand why I was feeling so fluish.
First, a warning.
And so I came back and tried to put my hand in front of him like this.
Then a scuffle.
And he just kept pushing me away and pushing me away.
What was the guy after?
This meter.
Yep, an electric meter. He wanted to replace it with a new one like this, a so-called smart meter. Problem was, Thelma Taormina wanted to keep her old one. She had put up warning signs
This is
to
not
leave
the
it
video.
alone. But the worker wouldn't listen, so Taormina grabbed her gun. Her lights are out.
What is part of the same video? Hold on. Here we go. Oh, it's the same one. Which is weird. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna time this perfectly this time. Ready, set, go.
Do you know what kind of meter you have in your home? No, this isn't just my nerdy curiosity. This is actually something that you should be considering. Over recent years, there's been a huge push by energy companies working in conjunction with the government to install smart meters. What's a smart meter? Well, it's an electric meter that energy corporations allege will streamline how power consumption is monitored in your home. Check it out.
I'm Bob Woodland, and this is my power. I used to watch my bill only once a month when it came in, and it got so high I thought I was powering the street light out front. Then I got the smart meter. They have a whole lot of little graphs that tell you on an hourly basis how much energy you're using. I show that to the family. I said, do you see this spike? That means a lot of money, so let's bring that spike down. Our family now is trained. We're not using them. Pull the plug. That's why in my house, I'm known as Energy Cop.
Energy cop, huh? Sounds terrifying, and actually not too far off from reality. Now get this. Power companies have been sending people to homes across the country to switch out the old analog meters for these brand new, all-digital smart meters. Remember that little guy that used to come to your house to measure energy usage? They'd write it down on a little notepad and then send you a bill at the end of the month? Well, that little guy is out of a job. He's been replaced with smart meters equipped with RF chips, technology that allows power companies to monitor these devices without actually ever coming to your home. So just how smart are they? Well, not only do they rapidly record information by the hour, but they can determine just what type of energy you're using. Think about that for 1 second. It may not seem like too much intrusion, but consider this. Energy corporations will have precise data on your daily routines, when you wash your clothes, when you watch TV, when you leave your home, and when you come back. And if the notion that they know what you're doing and when you're doing it isn't disturbing enough, gets worse. Because these devices are also capable of controlling, regulating, and even rationing your energy use. Take this for example. You're running your AC during those hot summer months, and the power company decides that you're using just a little too much power. Well, they can take it upon themselves to lower it, regardless of if you're willing to pay more for that extra usage. Another point to consider is what these companies can do with this information. Once they share it with law enforcement, it can, and believe me, it will be used against you. Cops will be able to know just what you're doing at all times in the privacy of your own home. Hey, who needs a telescreen when you have a smart meter? Secondly, these corporations can sell this information about our daily lives for data mining and advertising. It's disturbing on so many levels. Yet, these surveillance units are being implemented across the country without the public's consent, and in many cases without their knowledge that they're even being installed. And it's leading to an array of problems. Check it out.
This is a smart meter. It uses electromagnetic frequency to send DTE information about power use. This gets rid of the need for meter readers and notifies the power company about outages. But some say such meters are making them sick.
I couldn't understand why I was feeling so fluish.
First, a warning.
And so I came back and tried to put my hand in front of him like this.
Then a scuffle.
And he just kept pushing me away and pushing me away. And
What was the guy after?
this meter,
Yep, an electric meter. He wanted to replace it with a new one like this, a so-called smart meter. Problem was, Thelma Taormina wanted to keep her old one. She had put up warning signs to leave it alone, but the worker wouldn't listen. So Taormina grabbed her gun.
Her lights are out. Her electric meter has stopped spinning. But this is not due to a storm or for failing to pay her bill. It's because this self-employed photographer has refused to allow a new smart meter in her home. Result, a lineman pulled up and disconnected her from the grid.
Yes, companies are actually threatening to shut off your power if you refuse to allow a smart meter to be installed in your home. Look, guys, it may seem like you don't have a choice in this, but these meters are not mandatory yet. You don't have to subject yourself to unknown health risks or increased utility costs. You most certainly don't have to give up your privacy to private corporations. What you have to do is be bold enough to say no.
All right, that's the first part. That's one of the subjects of what I'm covering tonight. It's a lot to take in, I know. And if you already have one of these, they already know your routine. Scary, right? They know when you're home. They know when you're not home. They know when you're using power. They know when you're not using power. They are monitoring you. And if you're watching the screen right now and you see all these other videos, you got one of me that I did over here. And this is a drones update, Alex Jones, Planned Parenthood, martial law. You know, I did that. And then there's another one right here, 30,000 guillotines waiting for the Antichrist. And those guillotines are actually true. I did a video on that. World War II correlation with present day. It's crazy. It's crazy how World War II and how they have things set up right now. It's crazy. But, you know, check out my other video to watch that. And let me go back to Twitter to see if they changed it on me. There's only one new tweet. Oh, no. They didn't change it. Didn't change it to Chinese this time. That's good. Let's go into here. In here, this is all the testing that this guy did. He goes about testing microwaves and all the Wi-Fi and all that, and phones. But then he goes on to testing the smart meter, and the smart meter puts out a lot of radiation. I mean, a lot. You might as well have a nuclear bomb go off, because the effects of this are so prominent. Okay, so pull that one up now. In the video called EMF RF, and it's by a Computer Care Clinic. Okay, here we go. Hold on. YouTube decided to add me this time.
My name is Chuck Ross with Computer Care Clinic. One of the most frequent questions we get here in our service is, how can I resolve my Wi-Fi troubleshooting problems? People lose signal or a device stops connecting. So I decided, in order to answer that question with any authority, I needed to look a little bit further into this whole Wi-Fi thing. What is it? How does it work? What type of signals are being broadcast? Are they directional? How much power do you need? And then I thought about it as I was doing this research. Well, what are the effects of these things, these Wi-Fi transmitters? What type of radio frequencies do they use? How much power do they need? And where are they? And how are they affecting us, if in any way at all? So this video is going to be a little bit longer than our usual tip of the day, but it's going to explore Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi signals, and we'll dig into a little bit of radio frequency too, just in case you forgot or you were sleeping during your physics classes in high school. So let's dig into Wi-Fi, find out the myths and the truths, and
and hopefully we'll have a better idea and handle on how to troubleshoot our Wi-Fi problems.
Let's first look in an oversimplified view of the electromagnetic field, or EMF radiation spectrum. EMF radiation can be classified from very low frequency, which has a long wavelength, to very high frequency, which has a short wavelength. The sound waves humans can hear are a form of very low frequency EMF radiation, with one single electromagnetic wave cycle or wavelength longer than a football field. On the high frequency end, you can find things like X-rays and gamma rays with a wavelength smaller than an atom. Radio waves and microwaves are forms of electromagnetic energy that are collectively described by the term radio frequency, or RF. RF emissions are discussed in terms of energy, radiation, or fields. Radiation is defined as energy traveling through the air in the form of waves or particles. Electromagnetic radiation can be described as waves of electric and magnetic energy moving together or radiating through space. These radiation waves are generated by the movement of electrical charges through a conductive metal object, like an antenna. For example, the movement of energy in a radio or television or cellular base station antenna generates electromagnetic waves that radiate away from the antenna and are eventually intercepted by a receiving antenna, such as your rooftop TV antenna, a car radio antenna, or an antenna integrated into a handheld device, such as a cellular telephone. Frequency is the number of electromagnetic waves passing any given point in 1 second. For example, a typical radio wave transmitted by your favorite FM radio station has a wavelength of about 10 feet or 3 meters and a frequency of about 100 million cycles or waves per second, known as 100 megahertz. So your favorite FM radio station sends about 100 million 10-foot-long RF electromagnetic waves into the air every second. That's a lot of waves. Telecommunication services cannot exist without EMF. Microwave ovens, commercial heating, manufacturing, diagnostic medical services, some medical techniques, and radar are also uses of RF energy. There's also natural RF produced by Earth and space. So we're surrounded by radiation. EMF radiation is classified as non-ionizing or ionizing. Ionizing EMF radiation, like certain UV rays and X-rays, can break chemical bonds, which is not great. That means they can cause cell damage in living things, which is obviously bad for us. RF radiation, as found in radio, TV, cell phone, and Wi-Fi transmissions, is considered non-ionizing. Some sort of EMF radiation is emitted by all technical equipment or devices that produce electromagnetic fields. It's basically anything that gets plugged in or runs on a battery. Power lines, radar systems, communication towers, cell phones, cordless phones, Wi-Fi routers, iPads, TVs, computers, gaming consoles. They all produce some sort of EMF radiation. Well, here's where it gets interesting. All EMF radiation has an effect on the human body. But the question is whether it's a negligible effect or a negative effect, and to what degree. Microwaves are a specific category of radio waves. They can be defined as radio frequency radiation with frequencies from several hundred megahertz to several gigahertz, or thousands of megahertz. One of the most familiar and widespread uses of microwave energy is found in household microwave ovens, which operate at a frequency of about 2,450 megahertz, or 2.45 gigahertz. Sound familiar? That's right. Almost the same frequency your microwave oven uses to heat your food is also used for most cordless phones and Wi-Fi routers. Technically, Wi-Fi channels typically range from 2.412 gigahertz to about 2.472 gigahertz, right in that spectrum. So you might think, aha, that's where my Wi-Fi interference is coming from, my microwave oven. But not so fast. Most microwave ovens are well shielded and will not emit enough radiation to interfere with wireless communications, even when they're on. If your microwave is, say, very old or was dropped or damaged in a move, it might have a damaged shield. To be safe, it's probably a good idea to replace it. If you have doubts about your wireless equipment and interference, you could upgrade that wireless networking equipment and your cordless phone devices to the newer 5 gigahertz band. which is way above the 2.4, as long as your wireless devices all support it. Research continues on the possible effects of exposure to RF and microwave radiation. 2.4 gigahertz, as we learned, is far from ionizing radiation, the type that can quickly harm human tissue and cause bad things like cancer. But you can't see or feel any radiation. And what's scary is the long-term effects of exposure to radiation might not appear for several months or even years. It's widely thought the principal effect of non-ionizing radiation, like microwaves, is an increase in the temperature of water in our bodies. Theoretically, it would take an unlikely amount of microwave energy to cause harm to a human body. But as scientists are beginning to study the effects more closely, some people are beginning to change their minds. In 2011, the WHO International Agency for Research on Cancer classified radio frequency electromagnetic fields as possibly carcinogenic to humans, based on an increased risk for glioma, a malignant type of brain cancer associated with wireless phone use. You probably heard about that in the news. Also, two areas of the body, the eyes and the testes, are known to be particularly vulnerable to heating by RF energy because of the relative lack of available blood flow to dissipate the excessive heat. Laboratory experiments have shown that 30 minutes to 1 hour of considerably high levels of RF radiation, we're talking 100 to 200 milliwatts per centimeter squared, which is a tremendous amount of energy, can cause cataracts in rabbits. Temporary sterility caused by such effects as changes in sperm count and in sperm mobility is possible after exposures of the testes to high-level RF radiation. So if you're thinking about having children, fellas, you might want to remove that cell phone from your front pocket. The good news is that typical environmental levels of RF energy routinely encountered by the general public are far below levels necessary to produce significant heating and increased body temperature. But there may be situations, particularly workplace environments near high-powered RF sources, where recommended limits for safe exposure of human beings to RF energy could be exceeded. More recently, other scientific laboratories in North America, Europe, and elsewhere have reported certain biological effects after exposure of animals and animal tissue to relatively low levels of RF radiation. These reported effects have included certain changes in the immune system, neurological effects, behavioral effects, evidence for a link between microwave exposure and the action of certain drugs and compounds, an effect in brain tissue, and effects on DNA. Some studies have also examined the possibility of a link between RF and microwave exposure and cancer. Results to date have been inconclusive. Microwave exposure, when you think about it, is fairly new, but it's growing quickly. Dr. Magda Havas makes some great points regarding our lack of experience with the effects of non-ionizing radiation since it's relatively recent. Cell phones have been around for nearly 30 years, but only becoming widespread in the last 10 since smartphones took off. Wi-Fi has been a thing for nearly 15 years now, growing slowly, but now it's everywhere. And smart meters installed by your local electric company have been transmitting pulses of pretty concerning power for about 5 years, causing a lot of people to take notice. It takes quite a while to formulate a statistically significant health finding, and up to now, there's not a whole lot of evidence or research. Also, Dr. Magdas notes that human exposure to radiation used to be intermittent, but now it's more constant than ever. Wi-Fi routers emit a beacon signal that is continuous as long as the device is powered on. In other words, you don't have to be connected to the internet to be exposed to the radiation generated by a wireless router. When information is either uploaded or downloaded, the radiation levels increase both at the router and at the computer. The same is true for cordless phones and wireless baby monitors. Voice-activated baby monitors and cordless phones that radiate only when in use are available in Europe, but not currently available widely in North America. Now, some people are more sensitive to EMF than others, suffering from a recently discovered affliction known as electronic hypersensitivity. They used to just think these people are crazy, but now they're finding that symptoms including unexplained fatigue, sleep disturbances, headaches, feeling of discomfort, difficulty concentrating, depression, memory loss, visual disruptions, irritability, hearing disruptions, ringing in the ears, skin problems, heart palpitations, and irregular heartbeat, dizziness, loss of appetite, movement difficulties, and nausea may all be symptoms of electronic hypersensitivity. When electrically hypersensitive people go into an electromagnetically clean environment, many of their symptoms seem to diminish or disappear. Studies predict by 2017, almost 50% of the population may be complaining of this illness. Some countries are already withdrawing Wi-Fi from public areas and even creating radiation-free refuges for people with electrosensitivity. The bottom line on RF radiation and its effect on us, well, the jury is still out, but it's not looking great. In the meantime, until we all know for sure, it might be prudent to take a few precautionary steps. Fortunately, it's pretty easy to avoid most microwave radiation in high doses. Move wireless routers and cell phones further away from people. The further they are away, the less RF you'll absorb. Use headphones or the speakerphone when you talk on your phone to keep it away from your brain. Don't sleep with your cell phone under your pillow. Don't put your cell phone in your pockets. And turn things off when you're not using them. Unplug your Wi-Fi router and turn off your phone if you absolutely don't need it at night. So what levels of RF radiation are considered safe, and what kinds of levels are typical? We did some of our own testing with an X-Tech 480836 EMF meter in a typical home and office scenario, and here's what we found. So we took some readings at our store and at our home. First, we started at our store. Sorry for the messy workshop back here. And we got close to the wireless router and found that we had some spikes up to 0.6 microwatts per cubic centimeter, which is pretty high. So the question is, we still don't know what this stuff is doing to us, but there's some pretty cool charts at bioinitiative.org citing scientific studies that have already happened, and they have lots of easy to read colorful charts with the potential effects of electromagnetic radiation in the human body. Again, these are proven to be long-term studies, stuff's still kind of new. This is interesting too. If you look at these smart meters that everybody's fussing about, I didn't think it was such a big deal until I took the readings myself, and looking at a peak of 37.28. And that's pretty heavy. I mean, that's a lot of power. Now, it's pulsed energy. It's not constant, but this might be hitting you in your bedroom or your place of work, depending on the location of this thing. And of course, I'm right on top of it here. But if you look at it, you get immune system effects of that type of radiation. So you need to be concerned if nothing else. We don't know if it's causing any cancer or immune system effects with a pulsed rate like that. Your body does a really good job of healing itself. Also, the microwave ovens, if you get really close, no one who would do this would stand in front of a microwave oven, but there's considerable amount of energy coming out of a microwave oven. And you're looking at some of the effects that could here, including altered cell membranes. Of course, you wouldn't stand in front of a microwave oven. Most people have more sense than that. Although there is shielding inside, if you get right up on it, there are still some waves, microwaves that do escape that shielding. So you want to make sure you're back down. You see, if I pull away and even leave the room, it gets back to more of a background radiation. Again, this is in our store. We've got Wi-Fi waves and microwaves flying all over the place in here. Now, this is just my laptop, and you can see as it's sending and receiving information, it's jacked up to about 0.2.3, and you can see that there are some possible neurological effects, and that's constant. That's what we're probably doing sitting at our desk every day or at home, and even having these laptops on our laps, for the gentlemen especially, it could affect sterility. So if you're having a problem having kids, you might want to double check your electronic devices. Now, my wife was on a phone call, and look at this, spiking at 7 microwatts per cubic centimeter, and that's huge. I mean, it doesn't do it all the time. We have a pretty crappy signal. We have Verizon in our house, and unfortunately, we're a little far off the beaten path. So I understand the further are you away, the more energy your phone has to use to acquire that signal. As I pull this away from her cell phone while she's on an active call, and this doesn't happen all the time, just when you're on a telephone call, and it's a little less for Wi-Fi, you can see that it gets kind of jacked up periodically, not all the time, but I mean, these are significant numbers here, this 3 and 4, and you can see on the chart here what this does, even up to 7. And again, this is more constant than the pulsed energy we're looking at. So if you spend a lot of time on the phone, you might have some questions about what is this stuff doing? It's a relatively new phenomenon, only the last decade or so. So we don't have a whole lot of information. We are the guinea pigs, my friends. So take some precautions and just be careful. It's better to be safe than be sorry. My name is Chuck Fresh. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends about this video too. Hey, we might all learn something if we put our heads together, and put your findings in the comments.
All right, there's that. Now it's on to the next piece. And this is how to block the radiation from your smart meter. It's a nifty little device. And he uses a Geiger counter. A Geiger counter on this smart meter. And man, the readings are off the charts. Okay.
We just were drinking some wine one night. But it's kind of the problem solution. And I kept reading about and going to city council meetings where people complain about the radiation from smart meters. And I heard a lot of people complain about it. And I heard a lot of people say they had bad health effects from it. And I come from an electronics, electrical background working in RF, and I understand how that works. And I said, well, geez, if people are complaining about it, why not just shield it with something that blocks that wavelength of radiation? And it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do. And so we went through a few iterations of design and developed this to block that and solve a problem for people that didn't want to be radiated. Okay, now it's higher. So that's 30, 40,000, 50,000. Let's put this on and see. There we go. You take it off. So that's like 25,000, 30,000, 28,000, 26, 37,000. 30,000, 19,000. So go ahead and put that back on and we'll basically what it does is that this wire mesh stainless steel shield contains the microwave radiation that comes out of there. The wavelength can't get through this grounded metal shield, and so it basically contains it within there. You can see that 1 or 2% leaks out, but that's fairly normal. But it's just the microwave radiation can't penetrate that shield.
But that 1 or 2% allows the meter to communicate with the receiver on a telephone pole somewhere. So PG&E is not going to come tear this off your meter until you can't use it.
You can see that 50,000, 55, 48,000. Pretty constant now. So let's go ahead and put this on. And so here you can see this is my energy usage by day. And this is what the smart meter on. So this is September 23rd. You can go back a day, go back a month.
Shield on.
This is what the shield on. It's reading the data.
Right. The shield's been on for what, 4 months? 5 months?
5 months.
5 months.
Since people don't like the radiation, the utilities companies have come up with a solution of opt-out. You pay $75 and $10 a month, and they will put the old analog meter in. The problem with that is that you're putting cash out. You're putting $75 out, $10 a month. That's $120 a year plus $75 that you put out. So over about 5 years, you've put in over $600.
And that's a cover to block the radiation, but that still don't solve your problem with the privacy. Yeah, radiation is bad. of sucks. All right. Here's some more news coverage of that. Here we go. And this is from Wireless Free Zone.
Irregular heartbeat, headache, dizziness. That's what several Pepco customers say they are experiencing after wireless smart meters were installed at their homes. And now Nine wants to know why these meters are emitting radiation far more frequently than Pepco claims. Our Kristen Fisher uncovered this new evidence. And Kristen, this is similar to the radiation debate over cell phones and cancer, right?
Yes, this is very similar to that debate in that it's the same kind of radiation, and the research into its safety is not conclusive. But here's the big difference. You can choose how often you use your cell phone, right? But with smart meters, you don't have a choice. The frequency with which you are exposed to this radiation is determined by the power company. And as I found, it may be a lot more frequent than they claim. This is a meter that tests for radio frequency radiation, the same kind of radiation that's emitted by smart meters. And today, Desiree Jaworski with the Center for Safer Wireless, an independent group that questions the safety of smart meters, is using this device to test 3 Pepco customers' smart meters. We turn off anything else that might emit this radiation. Our cell phone, my wireless microphone. That way we know that any radiation we pick up is coming from the meters. So this is a smart meter bank. It's inside a Northwest DC condominium building, and there's 32 different smart meters inside this building. So what I did was I brought in a meter that measures the levels of radio frequency radiation. And what I'm finding is that these smart meters are emitting radiation every few seconds. But Pepco says smart meter communications take place every 4 to 6 hours.
What Pepco says is happening is that these smart meters send out communications every 4 to 6 hours on a daily basis. But what we're seeing is that these smart meters communicate about 4 to 6 times a minute, if not more.
We also tested 2 single-family homes, and even with just one smart meter, we got the same readings. It did not sit well with homeowner Lisa Corselius in Potomac.
They're not asking you if they may radiate you or not. You know, they're just doing it. On top of that, it's more than what they were saying. It just comes across as very dishonest.
So I brought these findings to Pepco spokesman Marcus Beal, who said,
I can't account for a test that there are a lot of variables involved that we can't account for with a test that we're not present at. But, we're confident in the specs of our meters and the safeness of the meters at this point.
So I asked Pepco if we could go out with their experts to do their own test. They told me they would look into it. And just to be clear, we're not saying whether or not this radiation is dangerous. That's up to the scientists, and it is currently the subject of a very heated debate.
Well, according to the last video of the guy who's doing the tests on EMF and stuff like that, 50,000 could cause a lot of effects on us. Brain cancer, everything. And it just goes to show how evil people are in this world. All the things that they give us so we could use to kill ourselves in some way or another. The whole depopulation agenda, which I'm going to do a video on that another day. But right now I'm doing this. Okay. Northeast Oklahoma Electric Co-op Inc. shuts off a customer's electricity because he does not want a smart meter. In my eyes, this is against human rights. And this is by the Meter Man. Is this not criminal fraud?
Mr. Love, got your information that I told you I'd bring you yesterday. This is the exact same packet that they sent you. I want to see it. And then here is the stuff that I printed off of. The Oklahoma Corporation's own website. This is all information you can read. And right there, and we are a regulated facility, utility through the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. And here's
where I don't see where this came from a website.
I printed it off their website.
Where's the address on it?
The Oklahoma Corporation.
Should be an address down here. I don't know where you got this.
All right. Will you take my phone? I mean, I can pull the website up on my phone and show you. I printed this off this morning from my desk.
I want to show you some paperwork.
And then here. Here's where it says the electric utility in Oklahoma, regulated one. That's us. There's no opt-out. Can I refuse a smart meter? No. And so all that information is yours.
We were just told this morning by the...
This doesn't say, it says currently no regulated electrical utility in Oklahoma.
That's us. We are a regulated utility through the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, and we do not offer an opt-out program.
We were told by the Attorney General's office this morning that you do.
We do not.
Okay, let me go get my paperwork. No state or federal law mandates the installation of AMR or AMI smart meter without the express request of the customer.
Okay, so we're here today to ask you, I guess then, so that's your decision. Do you want electric through the cooperative? And if so, we
Right on, using federal law.
No, I do not want a smart meter.
Okay, thank you.
They're gonna turn it off.
I don't want you taking the old meter either.
Sir, we'll be retrieving our facility.
Do you think it's really going to pay to support evil? Huh? When are you going to take the pole?
We'll make a service order and send a crew back out to get it for you.
Okay, you're going to take the pole?
If you'd like us to remove it, yes, sir, we will.
No, I don't want you to remove the pole.
It is co-op plant. The reading is 48599. 48599.
Thank God for the forgiveness of Christ.
Amen. Brother, amen.
Of course, if you repent and don't do any evil anymore, do not sin anymore. Don't forget to repent. I can see why.
And there's that. These corporations don't care about us. It's all about money and abiding by their rules. Are you going to abide by their rules? Or are you going to stand out, make a stand? And here, I'm not going to go through these because, I've gone through enough already. But here, Santa Cruz board questions PG&E smart meter shutoffs. And there's been a lot more people about getting the stuff shut off. This is back in 2011, but that one getting shut off was just played was back in last year in Oklahoma. And then I got another video from 2014, 2 years ago, which ain't that long. These smart meters haven't been long that long. Michigan Oversight Committee hearing on smart meters, 12/2/14. And you can go watch that. That's an hour and 49 minutes long. Ooh. Now, I'm going to go into all the states. States providing for smart metering. And I'm going to read off all these states. There's currently 25 states and territories that have smart meter legislation or policies. Alabama, California, Colorado, Delaware, District of Columbia, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia. We can make a stand to all these power companies. Hell, even to the government. Imagine if we all called our power companies and said, we don't want our smart meters no more. Imagine that. Imagine if we all stood up like that. What are they going to do? There's nothing they can do. We'll be standing as one. Let that sink in. There's nothing they can do if we all stand up. And then I got another site here, emsafetynetwork.org, where it has a whole bunch of people who've been getting symptoms from the smart meters, and there's a bunch of them. I can keep going down. There's so many people who are getting sick from the smart meter. Oh my God. So yeah, there's that. And that's everything for the smart meter. I hope everybody learned something today, that they only want to control us and know what we're doing by any means possible. Just like the NSA, they collect billions of emails and text messages daily from people from all over the world. Trust me, they're storing all of this too. Think of that too. They want to know what everybody's doing at all times. They're trying to take away our rights. Just look at Obama and his attacks on the Second Amendment. Perfect example. And then if you go to my last video, World War II in correlation with present day, you would see all the executive orders that can go into effect as soon as martial law is implemented, in which power is one of them. They can take it away. Like that. Take it away. Snap a finger. So think about that. Well, that's about everything for tonight. Hope everybody learned something, because I know I did. Shout out to Digital Knight for relaying this information. There's a lot of good information. I did a little extra research myself on it. Like the customer in Oklahoma who Literally, we sat there and watched him get his power cut off because he did not want a smart meter. I don't blame him. I just want everyone to have a plan. Have a plan. Be somewhat prepared. I plan on doing a video on what a bug out bag is. And a video on if you want to get the extra preparedness, where you could buy, say, military armor plating. You know, like the armor that they wear on the battlefield has a front plate, side plates, and back plates. You can get a helmet, you get gloves. You can get that too. So, yeah, I'm gonna be covering the survival here soon. Right now, I'm just getting a feel of all this because I'm pretty new to this. But in time, people will realize more and more of how much of the wickedness is in this world. It's unreal. Evil is everywhere. Whether you want to believe it or not, God is real. The devil is real. And they're just as real as you and me. Believing isn't, seeing isn't always believing. You know, see these people going out, doing good things, helping the homeless, you know, being kind and respectful to people. You know, that's the good. That's the good we need to hold on to because the evil is swallowing up daily. Well, that's everything. I got all the links in the description box. So if you want to go see those hearings about all that, you're more than welcome to, and maybe rewatch a couple videos. You know, as you see, that one lady had to pull out her gun just to get the guy to go away. But he still ended up cutting off her power. So, yeah. Like I said, everyone have a plan. Have a plan because with current events, with the paid protests, and yeah, that's a straight attack on the United States against us. An attack against us. How do you feel that your neighbor could be used to cause chaos in your own country? I know, right? Over the power of greed. They're using greed of the poverty in this country to do it. But I can go on and on about all this, man. If you haven't watched my other videos, make sure to go have a look. Lots of good information out there. This is Saving Humanity signing off.